Alright folks, so here's the update on my Edsel here. I ain't made one in a good while, and I figured I'd go ahead and make a little update on this thing. I've been working on this thing just about for the last, about 6 hours. And I went ahead and we've been trying to upgrade some things on it and eliminate some things and keep this thing, get it a little more where it kind of needs to be. Now it's not, the motor really needs to come out and be overhauled and all to do it right, but I just don't kind of have the money right now. We're just trying to straighten this thing out. So I went ahead and we've did quite a few things for it. I went ahead and replaced our vacuum caps. So I replaced all our vacuum caps on there. Checked all our vacuum lines. Well, it's really only technically one. And made sure that nothing was dry rotted. Went ahead and we had a vacuum line that went from the back of the carburetor to this brake booster. Went ahead and capped that off as well. And the reason being for that is I had threw a hose on there and threw a bolt in it, and it's just not the right way to do it. And all them caps, vacuum caps don't last nowadays. They don't. The front of the cap there will rot off, and then you have a huge vacuum leak. But anyway, I had capped that off on the back because the diaphragm on this brake booster here has got a hole in it. And every time you would step on the brake pedal there, you could hear it go tsh, tsh. You can hear it, vacuum leaking past that diaphragm. You can hear kind of a hiss kind of noise. So we went ahead and just capped it off because we don't need a bunch of vacuum leaks and everything else. They'll all add up and then they'll make this thing run really terrible. But went ahead and did a few more things. I got to replace the plug wires yet because I had a couple mouses come in here and chew them up. So I got to replace that. And we're going to get rid of this brake booster over on this car here. So I'm going to pop that thing off and just take the master cylinder itself and just bolt it directly to the fireball and the pedal assembly. Now I will have to take and probably shorten the push rod for that master cylinder because it's definitely a lot longer. It is adjustable. But we are going to put power brakes back on this car. But for now, I think we're just going to leave it as manual drum because that brake booster, for one, is not correct anyway. And for two, it's got a hole in it. And for three, we got a clearance issue here with the valve cover in this brake booster. And I just, we're going to eliminate all that stuff and do it right. Now, the plan for this car in the future is this car is going to get four-wheel disc brakes. And they will be power four-wheel disc brakes at that. And we're going to do away with this power assist, power steering on this car. And we're going to put a Borg Wardson steering box and get rid of this manual box under here. And as well as that power, quote-unquote, assist. Now, this project, the power steering and the four-wheel disc brake conversion is going to be later. But that is definitely on the list and is definitely going to be mandatory on this car. And this car is definitely going to get four-wheel disc brakes for sure. And we're going to keep it power brakes. We're going to make it a true, what I would call true power steering. Went ahead and we had a bunch of issues. I mean, this car is, you talking, 50, 60 some years old. And we had a bunch of issues with their power steering pump. Just not the pump itself. I mean, it was leaking a little bit, but the lines that go to it, the pressure side and the return line, they were just leaking like crazy. And the power steering cylinder that's underneath this car, just, the seals are leaking on it, and it's just, this car has some huge power steering leaks. I'll just say that. So I did away with all that. I just went ahead and removed it because it's just no point in sitting there leaving it on there like that. So I got rid of the power steering pump. I believe it's actually a Eaton power steering pump. Can't find a lot of information on it, but I removed it. And everything, that I removed from this car, if I ever want to put it back original, I can do it. It's a lot of Edsel people out there that might not like this video, but we're doing this to, upgrade some things. So here is our power steering pump here, and I just went ahead and removed it. And I believe it's actually a Eaton power steering pump, but I removed it with the bracket and everything. And the pump ain't really leaking too bad itself, but the lines, I mean, I just ended up cutting theirs so dry rotted. You know, I mean, look, you dealing with stuff like this, and I mean, the whole line was, this will focus here. Let's see if we can focus. But the whole, come on. All right, the whole power steering, this is the return line on here, and this is the pressure side. But I mean, as you can see, I mean, they are just soaked, and look, it's leaking up under here where this is crimped onto this hose here. It's leaking there. This whole return hose is leaking like crazy. That one's actually not bad to replace. But these lines are just, I don't even think they make them. I actually think you're going to have to get them special made. And you have to go somewhere and take it and get it made. But, you know, we're just going to do away with this whole thing, because you can find these power steering pumps. You can still, and you can actually get them. I think you can get them reman, or you can send them off somebody to rebuild it. But we're gonna go ahead and swap this thing out to a Saginaw, if you haven't guessed it yet, a Saginaw power steering pump, and just do away with all this stuff. But we could put a newer style power steering pump on here if we want it. I can hold this thing still here. But this has the old wing nut on it. You just take that off and you fill it up in the reservoir there, and then you know, you just run it like that. But we're going to do away with all this. You know, it's nothing wrong with it, but besides it leaking, and actually the pump still works, but it just leaks like crazy. But we're going to do away with that. We did away with a bunch of stuff on this car, and I am, you know, I'm keeping everything. But went ahead and see this. Here's another example here. I mean, we're dealing with stuff where this is crimped, it's leaking all up in there, and I of course cut the hoses off because there's just no point. You know, they cracked all up, and I mean, this thing was leaking like crazy. But we're doing away with a lot of this stuff. We got rid of our power steering pump. We're going to run a Saginaw power steering pump on here. They make a brackets for this in motor that you can do that. And we're going to upgrade to a power steering pump and go that route. We did away with our voltage regulator for our generator. Got rid of that. And we actually got our generator buried in there too. We did away with that. And I went ahead and removed this mirror that was mounted on the fender. I don't like that mirror. That's definitely not original to the car, if you're wondering. That is definitely not the original mirror. Somebody threw that on there. But I got rid of it. It used to be on this fender right here and mount it right in there. I don't like it there. We're going to actually move it back. We're not going to reuse that mirror. But we're going to get mirrors that are round, and we're going to probably mount them probably somewhere a little bit in front of that vent glass there. We're going to mount them on both sides. So this car will actually, you know, we'll upgrade that, quote unquote. So it'll have both mirrors on both sides. A lot of these older cars didn't have them on the passenger side, but I'm going to put it on that side, and because that's what I want. And I want the round. They kind of look like a bow tie mirror, like for a Chevelle, but they're not. You can actually buy a generic brand round mirror, we'll say. But I'm going to mount them right in front of that vent glass right there on both sides. And that'll just look so much better because I got rid of that. And it just looks so much better, I think. And it's not original to the Edsel anyway. But we're going to do that. And one thing I'm debating on too later on is I don't like the antenna on the fender as well. I just don't like that. I like it shaved. It looks so much better, and that's not really just for this car, just any car or any truck really. I just don't like it. I mean, nowadays you see modern cars, I mean, it kind of looks like, I call it a little shark fin kind of, but they mount it up on the roof like on the new trucks and new cars, and it's so small you don't even notice it. And you know, it's pretty cool what they come up with now. It just looks so much better, but that's getting shaved too. This car, I don't even think, I might actually have the antenna in the trunk. But either way, it's going to get shaved. And because we're going to weld that up. We're not running it. We're not going to run the fender. I mean, not the fender. We're not going to run the mirror on the fender either. Get rid of that as well, because it looks so much cleaner that way. And what I was getting at there is I'm debating on running. We're definitely going to run. It's kind of like an Impala style rear antenna. It'll angle back. I'm debating on if I want to run dual ones, because one of them's like a dummy one and the other one's, you know, your actual antenna. But I definitely want to run that and have it angled back on the back of the car. I think that would be a lot cooler, in my opinion, and it kind of fit the car a little bit better. And it just looks so much cleaner when you shave the antenna off like that and move it to the back of the car, I think. But so anyway, we did that. We got rid of the mirror on the fender there. I can't stand that mirror. You know, it's not even correct to the car, but I never liked that about the Edsels. Don't get me wrong. But I always, you know, hated that, and I wanted to move it to the back there. It just looks so much better, I think. And but anyway, so we're going to do that. I'll have to order some mirrors later on, move them to the back like I want. And that'll be a nice upgrade too, because then we'll have both mirrors on both sides there. And it'll just be a nice upgrade. So we went ahead and did that little bit of stuff. I got rid of the vacuum wiper motor. We went ahead and removed that. I'm going to actually get a piece of sheet metal, and I'm going to trace it out to the original. Come on, focus here. And I'm going to go ahead and just get a little weather strip and seal it there. And we'll just temporarily fill this hole in so we ain't got a hole in our firewall there. And because we're going to do away with vacuum wipers. I'm not running that either. That's the whole point of having this one-wire alternator, is we're going to upgrade to electric wipers. And plus it makes it look cleaner too, because then I can get rid of all the mess of the vacuum lines and all the other stuff, and I will get to that here in a second. But we're going to run electric wipers too. That's why I upgraded the alternator, not just specifically for that, but it just, you know, it's so much better than the old generators. Don't get me wrong, you know, I love the old style look, the old generator look. I was thinking about buying a Power Master, but them things are just, I mean, they're through the roof. And I even thought about, you know, taking and making a case, we'll call it, myself, and just drilling some holes in it and kind of making it look like a generator, getting like a piece of sheet metal, rolling it up, and drilling holes in it so you could bolt it to the back of the case and make it look like a generator and paint it black. I thought about doing that, you know, instead of paying some crazy amount of money, I could do that. But I decided not to, because, you know, I think it's going to cause a bunch of heating issues in the generator. It's not going to be able to breathe right, and, you know, you don't want that with anything, you know, electrical wise. So I kind of was against that, changed my mind about it. But anyway, we did away with the vacuum motor, and they make a kit that you can buy for these cars, and that's going to get upgraded. That's definitely going to get upgraded for sure. But went ahead and pulled that off. We're going to make a little plate there, and just temporarily, it's just got 2 screws in it, and they're not correct either. Somebody's had this off before, but you can see that's definitely a sheet metal screw, and that's definitely not correct. So we're going to take and make a little plate and seal it up. That way we can take it to a car show and just kind of enjoy it, and we ain't got to worry about, you know, getting rain on our floor pans there and all that mess. But anyway, so I got all that removed, and then went ahead and I've been cleaning up this engine bay like crazy. If you haven't seen it before, go back and look at the videos. I mean, this motor really needs to come out, like I said, and be overhauled. But I've been cleaning this thing up like crazy. I mean, it you know, it needs to be degreased and painted and all that, but, you know, it's no point in doing all that. And I went ahead and put a new fuel pump on here, and I actually think that it was actually got a hole in the diaphragm, and I think it kind of pretty much quit working, because I couldn't, this car, you know, you could get it running, but it wouldn't stay running. And, you know, I went ahead and pulled the pump off. I didn't like it anyway, because this is the pump that was on it, and this is not the original pump. The actual original pump had 2 ports on top. It worked, it was actually called a dual action pump, and it worked as the pump itself, obviously, and then the actual other part worked as a vacuum for your vacuum wipers. So it actually had 2 dual ports on the top where you would hook in the vacuum for your vacuum wipers to work. And it's supposed to help a little bit better, like once you're going down the road and all that, supposedly. I mean, you could hook the vacuum wipers directly to vacuum if you want it, but the fuel pump is kind of supposed to help. So when you're going on down the road, you know, you start losing vacuum, and, you know, they kind of don't really work that well. But either way, we're doing away with all that. But anyway, I like this fuel pump. in one way, but another way I don't. I like it because this bottom will unscrew, and it's got a filter in here actually, and it's pretty nice. And let me take it off here. Hold on, bear with me a second. This whole cover just unscrews. Let me get it off here. All right, so I went ahead and got this cover here and unscrews here. You got a filter, you got an O-ring at the top. Yeah, it's actually a square O-ring, I guess you would call it. Of course, threw it on the bumper of the truck there. So you got the seal, you got a filter, and then you got another seal that's in here as well that'll actually pull out. All right, let's focus here. Let's not make this all blurry here. There we go. And then you got the actual cover itself. And the fuel that I dumped out of here was kind of a little trashy, but it really wasn't that horrible. But I mean, wasn't too bad. This car is actually doesn't have a gas tank yet. I'm actually going to make a good video series on that and help y'all Edsel owners out there, you know, that got the gas tank issue that I have. And pretty much the issue is the gas tank is garbage, pretty much, we'll just say. And it's no point just, you know, wasting time cleaning it. And, you know, you're wasting time. And I've been able to actually overcome that. And it doesn't cost a pile of money. And it's not, you know, a bunch of crazy ideas where you got to buy like a 64 Galaxy tank and then quote unquote retrofit it and all this crazy stuff. And this is the way I've done to overcome it is I'll make a video series on it. But we use a 59 Chevy. It could be Impala, Bel Air, Biscayne, whatever. We use that style tank and those style straps, and we retrofit that underneath the car. But I am going to make a video series on that, and that is the closest dimension tank from, as of now, I'll have to do more research, that will fit this car. And it's very, very close, and it's very affordable. It eliminates all the issues. You can use it on a 58 Edsel, you can use it on a 59 Edsel, you could probably even use it on a 60. It's the most affordable way, and it's just so much better. But anyway, getting off topic there. So that's the only thing I don't like is this fuel pump here. I don't like his seal here because once they get bad, they get hard or brittle, whatever, you know, they start losing their seal. And you got a big old guss of fuel, you know, sitting on the ground. You got a big old puddle of it, and I just don't like it. That's not what happened to me at all. You can buy the seal, I'm sure. But they are nice because you can unscrew this cover here, and you can clean it out and check it and all that. But I just don't like it because these seals tend to go bad over time with the day's ethanol gas, and then this diaphragm up here tends to go bad too, and sometimes it'll leak out the side here. So I don't like buying Chinese junk fuel pumps, but I wanted to eliminate this issue altogether, and I don't want to run original style fuel pump because we're not going to run vacuum wipers. And I cannot find no information whatsoever online about putting a fuel pump on an Edsel. So this is a 59 Edsel. It has the 360/361, whatever you want to call it. It's a 360 FE motor. And I'm going to tell you how I did it. And I did it for $35. I bought the fuel pump for it. And we were able to do away with the fuel filter because that fuel pump that I just showed you is not original to the car. The original one, if you look it up, it's actually got dual vacuum ports on it. And that's for the vacuum wipers. But we're going to get rid of all that garbage there. And don't get me wrong, I like the vacuum wipers. They're cool because they're original to the car, but that's not what I'm calling garbage. I'm actually calling this particular style seal here and that diaphragm in there garbage because they leak. But anyway, here's the part number for this fuel pump here. It bolts right up. You know, it'll work for, basically it's for like a 70s model, 360, 390, 352, high boy, you know, truck. And here's the part number for it. This is the easiest way I did it, and it's the most affordable way too. Yes, it's a junk Chinese Yes, it's a junk Chinese fuel pump. I almost said water pump, but it is a junk, you know, Chinese fuel pump. But it will work, you know. And it's $35. Just buy this. There you go. There's the part number for it, right there. And this is the most affordable way you can do it. It's actually a Carter. So, you know, it's, no, I guess you wouldn't say that terrible, but it is probably a Chinese pump, I'm sure. This one's actually a Carter too, if we can see it. There we go. So that's a Carter too. So we kept the Carter on there. We made sure, you know, everything's the same. The push rod's the same, and everything's the same. But it's nicer because you eliminate this seal down here, but you lose. The downside is you lose the ability to pull this cover off and just swap this fuel filter out. So that is a little disadvantage there. But, you know, it'll eliminate this leak here, and it'll eliminate the leak in this diaphragm. But the downside to that is, you know, of course, the filter, you can't really change it out. And the other side, too, is, you know, you can't really rebuild them. Because this is actually a rebuildable fuel pump. And I am going to keep this. There's nothing wrong with it. It just needs a diaphragm and a good cleaning. But you got to watch on these pumps too, because sometimes up in here they crimp these ends over here, and this little pin that goes across that holds this fuel pump eccentric, you would call it, I guess. Got to watch down here, because sometimes I have seen these break, and they just it's pressed in and they crimp it over, and that's what holds us in here. But this one's got a lot of play. I mean, I can actually push this one by hand, and of course I can push the new one by hand too, but this one's very easy. But it's got a lot. It's like it ain't got no suction to it, so I definitely think it's definitely got some wear for sure. But we can actually rebuild that one. But that's the part number 4. It's a Carter fuel pump here. So if you got a 59 Edsel and it's got a 360 in it, and that's what I would run. And here's the front of the box here, and here's a 360-degree angle here. That side, there's that side as well. That side, there's the front of it. And here again, here's the bottom of it. Trying to throw you a 360-degree angle there. That way you get a good idea. So if you got a 59 Edsel here, this is a huge help. You know, it's not a lot of videos on YouTube about these cars. It's like a huge mystery, I guess you would say, about these cars, because nobody really, you know, has a lot. There are good videos that got a good information. I'm not saying mine are perfect. They are definitely not. But I want to help y'all out here. That fuel pump was 35 bucks, and the way I look at it is, you know, that eliminates a lot of issues. And on top of that, you know, it's more convenient. So basically all it is a fuel pump for like a high boy. And that's all this motor is. It's just a FE motor. But this will work on, you know, what you would call the Edsel E400 for the 58s, the E475. I mean, you could throw this fuel pump on and not have to worry. And technically, you could run, even if you don't want to run the vacuum wipers off your fuel pump, you could run them right off either the back of your carburetor or your intake, or, you know, there's other sources of getting vacuum to your vacuum wipers. But to me, I eliminate a lot of issues there. But I'm going with electric wipers. That's why I went this route. But even if you want to keep vacuum wipers, you can still run that same fuel pump. And you don't have to spend almost $100 on a fuel pump. That's why I did it too. Now, like I said, you know, I don't like buying, I'm sure that's a Chinese fuel pump. So, you know, if you get a year, the way I look at it, if you get a couple years out of it, you know, you done got your money's worth. I mean, it's 35 bucks. You know, just common sense, you know, keep an eye on it, and, you know, you're going to be maintaining it anyway and checking the oil and everything else. So, you know, if it fails, you're going to have a bunch of gas in the oil and you're going to know. But, you know, you're already going to be checking anyway because it's a classic car, you know, if you're taking care of it right. Right? That's what I say, you know. But, anyway, yeah, we did quite a few upgrades. Put HEI ignition in it. And I got to replace these plug wires here because the mouse has done chewed them all up. Put an Edelbrock carburetor on here. I like manual choke. I do not like electric. I do not like vacuum choke. I do not like heated choke. And I just like a regular manual choke carburetor. It makes it nice. So anyway, we reused our original fuel pump line. We reused that a little bit. I had to tweak it just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to buy a whole nother fuel line. I believe that's a 5/16 fuel line. And yeah, it's 5/16 fuel line. I'm going to actually rebend that and make it more professional, we'll say, because that kind of looks kind of rough. And I'm going to straighten that up some more. But anyway, so we got a 1-wire alternator on here. We use a 69 Mustang water pump for this car because it's got the right distance between the fan and the radiator. It's got the correct impeller and all that. And we're using a Highboy fuel pump. And I actually discovered this on a Highboy that's a buddy of mine. And I never really thought about it until now, but I discovered that. I run an HI distributor. I run a 195-degree thermostat. And we're actually getting ready to get rid of this road draft tube and upgrade it to PCV. And we're going to eliminate all that. And because I just don't like that road draft tube. We're going to get rid of that and get rid of this brake booster. For now, we are going to have 4-wheel power disc brakes. But for now, I want to get rid of that because the clearance issue between the valve cover and the booster. And it's not even correct. And I got actually caught something that I never really thought of, but I have this dual master cylinder. It's plumbed right, we'll say, but these lines are backwards. This is actually, we'll have to swap these lines around because this is actually your front brakes right here, and then your rear brakes are always the smaller chamber. So you got to keep that in mind. And so anyway, I got to swap these two lines. That's not a big deal. I caught that. See, I make mistakes too. But these lines are actually backwards. And I got the front here on the rear, and then I have the rear on the front. So they got to be swapped, which is not a big deal. And that'll take care of that issue. And it actually works perfectly fine. I don't have no issues with it, but I'm going to correct that because the bigger chamber is always for the front brakes and the rear chamber is always the smallest. I've learned that a lot. I forget who said that on YouTube. I can't remember. It might have been Uncle Tony's Garage. I can't remember. But anyway, it might have been Thunderhead 289. Maybe Vice Grip Garage. I don't know. But anyway, that's got to be swapped. That's not a big deal. And then we're going to take our master cylinder and bolt it directly to our firewall. And later on in the future, I'm going to put 4-wheel disc brakes on here. Even if I got to go to 15-inch steel wheels, that's what I'm going to do. And this car is definitely going to get the period correct wide white wall tires. And I like the wide white ones. I don't like the skinny white wall. But that's going to be a future project. These tires eventually are going to get passed down to my Chevelle, and that's the route we're going to go on that. But anyway, we're trying to do a few upgrades here, and went ahead and I've run all new wires too. And well, I say all new. Let me rephrase that. I've run a whole new wire, all new wires to the oil pressure warning light, which is down here. We're losing daylight here. I apologize for that. Let's see. There we go. So I run a whole new wire to our oil pressure warning light. Got that taken care of. I'm running a new wire to the temperature sending unit, which is located right here on this motor. And then I went ahead and run a whole new wire to this HEI distributor. So we got that taken care of. We just run a hot 12 volts to it. And we went ahead and almost forgot too. We got rid of the ballast resistor. Got rid of all that stuff because we don't have points anymore, and I'm not going to ever put it back on. But we got rid of the ballast resistor. We got rid of the vacuum wiper motor. Got rid of that. We cleaned a lot of this wiring up. I still got to get rid of this booster yet. I don't like that. And we're trying to clean it up. I got to get plug wires, like I said, yet too. And I got to correct this battery cable here. We have one black ground down here, and that's correct. And this one right here is another black one. See, I don't want two black wires. You know, of course, I know what I'm doing. I'm not, you know. But I want to correct that because it looks stupid, in my opinion. So I got another red one I'm going to put on here. This is going to go away, and we're going to correct that. And that way we got one red one, one black one like it's supposed to be. And I actually got one in the back there that I bought. So we gotta It's actually left over from the one-wire alternator upgrade. But went ahead, and the secret to that is go on and buy the longest possible, lowest gauge, we'll say thickest gauge wire. So the thickest battery cable wire you can buy, you know, go on and buy that and get the longest length you can get, because I can cut that just like I did there, and I had enough wire to run from the back of my alternator to the solenoid for a one-wire alternator. That way we got a good heavy gauge wire, and that's plenty for a 105 amp alternator. And then we got this extra here that I can trim it again and run that on from our solenoid to our hot side on our battery. So that'll get rid of this issue right here, so we ain't got two black cables here. And that was like that when I bought the car. But that'll be enough for that. And then I got to come down here, and we might have enough of this wire here that, well, no, never mind. I'm not going to do that. Defeats the purpose. But I got to run a new hot wire from this side of the solenoid straight down to our starter, because as you can see, I mean, this is a fire hazard. Look how brittle that is. I mean, look, the insulation's done fell off. You got copper sticking out, and this is hot to the starter. But it's just a couple little things I got to finish up here and straighten up, and you know, this will help the car. It'll start better. It'll charge better. Obviously, you'll have brighter headlights, and you know, it's just little stuff like that I'm trying to straighten up and clean up. I don't like this radiator. This is a Champion radiator. I like aluminum radiators, but I don't like this particular brand. It's Champion. To me, they're kind of junk, in my opinion. But I'm not trying to talk bad about them, but that's just the way I feel. I have had kind of bad luck with them in the past. I like a KKS radiator, which is what's in my Chevelle, and they look more, the tanks look more original, in my opinion, I think, on some of them. And it kind of gives that more original look, but at the same time, you know, you upgrade it to, you know, a 3 or 4 core radiator, and at the same time it's aluminum. But I just don't like the Champions, because to me they're just, the quality is not quite there, I'll just say. But anyway, so we're trying to upgrade some stuff. I went ahead and, you know, got all the wire nice and cleaned up here. It's not perfect, but got all of it cleaned up. Now I got to clean up all this last little bit up under here. And I got to do a few things to this on the Edsel here. If you didn't know, your brake lights and your reverse lights are tied up. Well, not tied up, but they are tied in to your steering column shaft down there. There you go. Now you can see it. But your reverse lights and your neutral safety and your brake lights are all tied into that down there. And they used to go on the old style single master cylinder, and we of course did away with it. That will never go on here ever again. So anyway, we're gonna do away with all that, the column, because that's not going to work with this type of situation. The reverse lights will still work, but our brake lights are not going to work down there, because we have no port whatsoever on this master cylinder to do that. And I went ahead and this was done before I even bought the car, but a guy took a plate and he took a GM brake light switch and put on the pedal underneath here and went that route, but he didn't wire it right. So I gotta go underneath here and straighten that mess out. And so he made the plate and all that, and so he's going the right direction. And but of course you got the brake light switch that are put underneath here. You can't really see it, but it's there. But anyway, it's kind of heavy duty plate too.